Do we really need an entire year of color theory? Hi guys, it's Ania from Interior Design Hub, and I'm back again today to go over what they don't teach you in design school. Oh yes, I am going there. I'm spilling the tea today because this is an area that I still see with some design firms I've actually worked with. You just don't learn this stuff, and this is stuff you really need to know. So let's dive into it. So when you go to design school, you learn so many valuable lessons. You learn all about AutoCAD, you learn about building systems, you learn about color theory. There's just so many different things that you learn about. You learn about art history, you learn about the design process. I mean, all really, really good things, all really good foundational tools that you need in the business. But there are a handful of things that you don't learn in design school that you really need to know. So I'm gonna cover 4 different things. Now, I actually think there's probably a lot more things. It's been a minute since I've been in design school. However, these are the 4 things that I have noticed with just some of my own interns that I've worked with and just realizing, oh, this is kind of an area they're lacking in. So I know I didn't learn in school, but it's been several years since I've been in school, and it still seems to be an area that they're not covering. I do work with some other firms once in a while, or I see their work, and I've actually seen some presentations from some firms, and some of these things, oh my goodness, you can tell that they just have no understanding of, and it's not a good thing. You need to know this stuff. It makes you more well-rounded. You become a better designer when you have knowledge in a lot more areas than just, the foundational lessons that you learn in school. Number 1, furniture. You're probably thinking, what is this girl talking about? Okay, furniture. When you're in design school, you understand or you learn about, spatial awareness. So how much clearances you need around your seating area, whether it's in a corporate office or a residential setting. So you know where roughly you need paths of travel and how wide they need to be for building code issues. You also know there's comfort things when you get into different space allowances for, say, a chair in a counter space area. So there's all those things that you absolutely do learn. But what they don't teach you is actually about furniture. The actual furniture. So I have seen, heaven help me, I have seen designers who just use Pinterest images. Come on, you can't just use Pinterest images. I know there's lots of really pretty pictures and stuff on there. The problem with Pinterest and the problem with a lot of internet images is they don't exist. It's somebody's rendering of some concept for something, and they're so lifelike now that a lot of times you'll get a real product that's modified based on somebody's vision of that. I'm not saying they don't have actual pictures of products, but that's the first problem. The second problem with Pinterest images is, other than an inspiration guide, a lot of that stuff you can't get easily, or it's so expensive because it's made, I'm in Canada, so let's say it's made in the UK, which, yeah, is great. There's great products there, but are you accounting for how much it costs to get here to Canada? So when you're presenting images like that to a client, you're showing them sometimes things are just not attainable and just don't fall in their budgets. And I'm going to get into budgets, but furniture, understanding manufacturers, understanding where to source furniture. I'm a part of a Facebook group that's for interior designers, and I get this question seen a lot where do I source this product? Where can I get this product? Because they're working, whether it's residential or commercial, with clients who want furniture spec'd. Where do you get that couch? You don't want to just go to some, you don't want an IKEA couch necessarily, right? I mean, you might have clients that do, but if you have a high-end client and you want to spec a Montauk sofa, do you know what that is? Do you know where to get it? Do you know why it's so expensive? There's so much to furniture construction, furniture manufacturing, furniture delivery, furniture cost, commercial furniture versus residential furniture. Huge world of difference. And you don't learn any of that in design school. That is something that you need to learn. You need to go out there and do your own research or push your teachers to teach you more about it. One thing that I think is really important is actually understanding what makes a high, good quality piece of furniture versus, unfortunately, sorry, but an IKEA, cheaper, put together, out of the box piece of furniture. I mean, I think we all can kind of understand that there's a difference, but understanding how it's actually made and why there's actually a difference between the two, it's something that's going to give you an edge over other designers, because understanding that seems to be an area that's lacking, and I'm not blaming the designers for it. It is an area that I had to teach myself in. I work in commercial. I had to learn about commercial furniture. I work in a situation where I do purchase a lot of furniture for my clients. So because I've had to do that, I've had to do my homework, because I have had some big fails. So things happen, right? You got to learn. But that being said, it's great if you have the opportunity, if it happens next year, hopefully it will, go to an event like NeoCon in Chicago, or go to a design center, the Design Mart. I don't know if you're in the US or Canada or wherever you are, but there's generally some commercial design location where they have a whole bunch of different vendors that are set up. So that's an opportunity to go and learn more about furniture. Ask the questions. Get into, when you get the design catalogs and the different books, look at what products are in there and actually start to kind of figure out the differences between them and find out where you can source them. Don't rely on the internet. Don't rely on Pinterest. Learn about furniture. You should learn about furniture, actual physical furniture, and where to get it, how much it costs, what are you getting for that money. So when you talk to your client, you can talk to them with knowledge and intelligence, and it's not just a Pinterest image. Now, if the client comes to you with a whole bunch of images that they've got off the internet, awesome. What do you do with that? You go and find real products and say, okay, this is the inspiration. Here's what I can find that's really similar. This product is from XYZ. All right. So that's why you need to understand furniture, because then you can pull things, right? All right. I mentioned this briefly, but a big one, budgets. You really don't learn very much about budgets in design school. I know a lot of times in design school, they do give you a client with a budget and you have to create this design for the budget, but you don't really learn about how that budget is built. You don't learn about construction costs. Now, indeed, they are always changing. 3 years ago, the price of construction was a lot different than it is today. But that being said, when you're in school, if you're learning how to get that information, then you always know how to find it. There's definitely a disconnect. There's a general sense, but it's not enough. You really need to dive deeper into budgeting. You also need to understand how much is it, to build walls, have a general contractor, understanding per square foot for a drywall wall versus a demountable wall, or, laying down commercial grade carpet versus a tile floor. Doing residential with, broadloom versus hardwood. So there's all these different costs, but then electrical costs, data costs. How much is it for lighting? Do you need to have power poles? How much does a power pole cost? How much does moving a drop from one location to another location in an office setting cost? Moving costs, staging costs, furniture costs. Furniture, again, these two tie together. Because people don't understand furniture and they don't understand how much furniture costs, especially in commercial, they don't nearly budget the right amounts for it. They just have ballparks that are nowhere near reality. The reality is, task chairs, like I showed in my home office setup video, which I'll link up here for you guys, a task chair runs typically between $700 and $1,200, and most people are just floored by that. But that's what those high-end chairs for an office cost. And if you go to an office, they generally do have chairs like that. Now they're getting discounts from multiple purchasing and all that kind of stuff. But again, you know that when you know costs, when you know budgeting. So you really need to spend more time, or ask your professors to spend more time on how to truly budget. We have a local construction chapter here that offers extra classes. And in those classes, they actually have like an estimating class. That is an awesome class to take, like totally worth it. You'll learn so much about it, about how to truly cost out a project. Third point is project management. Now, I did have someone reach out and ask for a whole video on project management, and I just haven't figured out how I want to tackle it because I feel like there's no one set right way to do project management. Project management is a certificate program. There are systems in place for how to manage a job, and that is one area you don't cover. So how do you deal with scheduling? How do you deal with the planning? How do you create a Gantt chart? Like, I never created a Gantt chart in design school, but I did create it in business school. So it was kind of interesting because I do create them now in real life with actual projects. So I think having a project management or taking a project management certificate course is extremely valuable because it will help you understand, especially if you're on your own, how to schedule everything, how to plan everything, and how to manage all the paperwork. There is a lot of contracts and a lot of different like legal things. So a lot of times the project managers, at least here in Ontario, they're probably called something else, but they'll deal with something like a CCDC2, a CCDC5A or B. They'll deal with a CCDC Master or MA, I think it's called. So there's a whole bunch of different forms that they'll deal with. This all has to do with that construction, project management, client, different types of planning things. So I think I'm gonna deep dive into project management in a whole video on its own because it's really too hard to explain in a nutshell, but definitely an area that, you know what, again, there are courses on project management. There are a lot of different things you can find online that will help you understand project management. I feel like I skimmed over that one. Here's a good example. The construction project, say, is 12 weeks from, demo to construction. You probably think that doesn't sound like very long, 3 months, but you can do a pretty decent size office in 3 months. So you've got 12 weeks from the start of construction until completion. So you've got to think about things like, okay, when are they done demo? When do they start construction? When are the doors going to be ordered? When do we need to get in there and have, the paint done? Because paint you do before carpet. When do we have doors generally take, like doors are one of those things, at least here, you got to order them like 12 weeks in advance for some reason, sometimes 16 in advance. So you're kind of like, whew, because you can't get occupancy without doors. So, understanding when those things are. And then furniture. Furniture is another one, depending on what you're buying, if you are buying the furniture, what you're buying, where it's coming from, your lead times can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 12 weeks. So knowing when you need to put those order in for the final furniture as well, if you manage a job well and you create a really great schedule for that job, you can end up having everything in place, a couple days before you're ready to turn over, do a walkthrough with the client, do the few final touch-ups, hopefully only minor. You do walkthroughs throughout, deficiencies and etc. And basically, by understanding that process and managing all of those little timelines, which is where understanding a Gantt chart and understanding that project management software really comes in handy, you will end up with a very successful job that ends on time and on budget, with, the exception of unforeseen circumstances like something that happens during construction. But for the most part, for something very simple, like an office renovation in a fairly new construction building, you're probably going to be okay if you understand that process. The worst thing with project management is when you don't understand how long something takes and then you don't plan for it accordingly. So if you only have 12 weeks and your furniture takes 6 to 8 weeks, but you wait until the last 4 weeks to place that order, the client's waiting, right? So that's not a good thing. So project management is a really important skill. There's so much more that I can deep dive into that, and I definitely think that I will cover that in another video for you guys where I just get into project management. So our final tip for what they don't teach you in design school are business skills. Now, I think they do like some general, very, very general, it's a business, here's some contract document things, but I haven't met anyone that's come out of school. I know I didn't learn it in school, but I did go to school for business, so I didn't really think about it that much. But people don't understand like marketing, accounting, general business practices. Like when you're in design, you're not just a designer. I mean, maybe in a large firm you are, but generally you're a part of a business, right? So you have to have an understanding of different types of documents, different types of communications between different people. Like what's a letter of transmittal? You know, you need to kind of understand some of the business lingo and some of the business stuff, because even in a large firm, you're going to have an HR department. You're going to have, you know, different people and different things. There's going to be like a protocol. When you're writing an email, it's not like texting your friends. I mean, it's got to be appropriate. Also, if you ever want to go out on your own, understanding, you know, how to run a business, how to, you know, set up contracts, how to do your financials, how to do like just a basic accounting spreadsheet with debits and credits on it. Like just like learning Excel and understanding how to use a lot of that software, and, you know, just the basics of business operation, because understanding that means that you can put yourself in your employer's shoes, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you are the employer. Because when you can understand how the business is run, it helps you understand why some things happen. It also helps you when you get into, you know, higher level positions and you're dealing with contracts and you're dealing with RFPs and RFQs and all of these things that are business. Like you learn all of them in business and you can apply them to design, and it really makes you stand out if you have an understanding of that. You know, that's one of those areas where, you know, taking a few business courses, especially if you do decide you want to go out on your own, is extremely helpful. And it's something that you just need to take maybe one or two after you're done and graduated, just as like an extra little buffer. Or there may be even some certificate programs that are super short evening, you know, just to get some of that under your belt. And that's really like, it's a disservice that they don't teach more of it. And I know there's so much that you learn in design school, but like, do we really need an entire year of color theory? Like, I still don't know that much about color. I mean, I know it looks good, but like color theory was a course that honestly, and like the rendering course, now, I mean, I feel like a relic right now. I learned how to hand render, and we had a whole bunch of drawing courses and hand rendering courses. I have never hand rendered in my life. Sketching, absolutely good tool, always have to sketch, but like, who hand renders? Like, nobody's paying for that. So I know a lot of people are learning, you know, rendering software, which is absolutely 100% useful. But like, there were a lot of courses that were just almost fluffy courses that I thought, wow, you could really just maybe group some of them together and have them as modules within like an overview course of maybe some of those things, and then like dedicate some hardcore time to business, because that was just an area that they did not cover and they really needed to, because a lot of people that come out of design school just don't really understand how a business operates. And a lot of people that come out of design school do have aspirations to go out on their own. You kind of need to know how to run a business, right? So those are some of the things that they just don't teach you in design school that I strongly recommend you know, consider looking into. And if you want to learn more about the business of design, I highly recommend you check out this playlist here or this video here. All right, thanks guys. Until next time, bye.